Britain is attempting to proceed with the Brexit, and this is scaring the rest of Europe as the euro is falling considerably against the US dollar, showing weakness in this who's uglier contest. It's clearly shown that despite Britain's desire to Brexit, Germany and the EU are trying to make it as difficult as possible. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we will get into the Brexit. We are going to look at the US dollar, and we are going to cover Trump as well. Beginning with this, we're not letting EU go. German finance minister warns that Britain could still be paying into Brussels coffers in 2030. Now, just to show you, talk about this, we are looking at this article out of the Daily Mail, and that is talking about this mini summit which is going on right now with those in Europe. And although he did say they could be paying into 2030, he was saying it sort of off the cuff and not necessarily a specific number. I just want to mention that up front. So what I would say about this, and what we find here, the information that's been provided, is that they signed the article. It doesn't just happen overnight. They're not exited out overnight. There are bits and pieces which will have to take place over the years as they happen. Yes, they could be on the trajectory to leave the EU, and hopefully they will. But it's not something that happens overnight. This will have to take time. In the meantime, they are still going to need to pay up. And that's what's being said right here. This is all interconnected with the US dollar. And you can see that euro spot right here, dollar's winning streak, currency's run of gains, pushes it to the strongest level this year versus the euro. So is it the US dollar strong, or is it the euro weak? And that's really what's happening. I call it the ugly contest, because who's worse at this time? It's not who's the strongest currency, it's who's the less weak, who's the least weak. The dollar extended its record winning streak against the euro amid speculation that Donald Trump's reflationary economic policies will trigger faster monetary tightening. The expectation for the Federal Reserve to increase interest rates has been more so now than we had seen at any point during the year. So I would suggest that maybe they will increase interest rates in December. If they do, again, we're looking at marginal increases, and then they will pass that on to the commercial banks. What's interesting generally is it works like that, where the central bank will increase or decrease interest rates, and then you will have the commercial banks follow suit in that, obviously in that direction. What I find interesting is in Canada, the central bank didn't change interest rates at all. However, TD Bank and then others change their prime rates on their lending rates. What happens when they do that? Why? Just to make more profits. They say they want to be more secure, want to be more safe. But the fact is that they simply just want to make more profits. And it's interesting to see that happen because, look, they're not making anything right now. They're borrowing money at basically nothing, and they are giving it away at, yes, they are making some, but compared to what it was at one point is simply nothing. They need to take a little bit more risk, and they need to take as much as they can from the depositors. The greenback strengthened for 10 straight days against the euro, the longest rally since the shared currency debuted in 1999. Now, what I want to talk about is the fact that you have this starting in 1999 with this currency, and it has been fluctuating ever since. Well, if you look at the introduction of the EU, how long it's taken to get to this point, all the bumps along the way, and then they still want them to unwind in the slowest way possible to do so, and it's going to take even longer probably to get out of the EU than it took for them to get into this point where they're at now. It's really funny to see that. All right. Rise of populism in developed nations is tearing at the political fabric of Europe, unsettling markets and undermining growth prospects, according to top European bankers. Populism, the way I define that, is essentially looking after the people. People first. Is that a bad thing? Is the way they make it seem is that, yeah, all these populists, oh, it's so terrible. Now, the way it's implemented, just with communism and socialism and everything else, the totalitarian systems, it could sound good on paper, but how is it implemented? That's what's important. Just wanted to mention that. The uncertainty in the market, especially in the political and economic instability, has never been. And just let me step back for a second. This quote I'm about to read isn't from the Money GPS. It isn't from the Money GPS YouTube channel. It's not coming out of my mouth only to quote it. Look at this. Start from the top here. The uncertainty in the market, especially in the political and economic instability, has never been as pronounced as it is today. How many times have you heard me say something along these lines? That's from Commerce Bank. That's not me. But it sounds exactly what I have been saying over and over and over again. And meanwhile, you have a bunch of people, I'll be nice, a bunch of people out there who simply will deny it over and over and over again. And they will talk about how everything is just fine, how everything in their portfolio, all paper, portfolio is doing well. Stop fear-mongering. I'm doing so well, they say. Well, you know what? Do whatever you want, and that's great. However you're doing, if you're doing great, that's excellent. But I'm just here to bring out the truth. The truth hurts. It certainly does. When you read this type of information, it's not good. Why wouldn't I want to just put my money in paper assets and let it ride? Pick up the dividends along the way and enjoy myself. That sounds like a lot easier than having to create all these different methods of preparation. Having solar panels, having storable food, having water preparation, having storable seeds, and everything else. That's a hell of a lot more difficult than just putting your money into paper assets, collecting the dividends, and living happily ever after. Well, I got a lot of bullshit. Excuse me. I'm dealing with a lot of things that is inexcusable, to say the least, because people are getting hurt out there, and a lot of people are going to get a lot more than hurt down the road. I assure you. I have actuaried this out many times, and every time I always come up with the situation of the burning cities, the riots, and the civil unrest. And I'm not talking about just little things that happen here and there. I'm talking about some serious business. All right, Trump apparently has offered Senator Jeff Sessions the cabinet post of Attorney General. This is huge. Now, Senator Jeff Sessions, you could probably say not perfect by a long shot, but Senator Jeff Sessions was up in front of Leon the criminal Panetta when he said, we will come to the Congress maybe and tell you if we are going to go to war. And Jeff Sessions said, what the hell are you talking about? Are you telling me you're not going to come to the Congress for approval? And Panetta said, we are in an international coalition, NATO perhaps suggesting, and we will seek NATO's approval, and maybe we will come to the Congress and ask permission. And he was not having it. Jeff Sessions was saying, no, you don't do that. So at least he had the balls to say something. Of course, they'll just go to war anyway, but at least he had the balls. Nobody else out there, or very few, are willing to even say anything. They would just say, yes, master. So I give him credit for that, and putting him as Attorney General would be a hell of a lot better than what we have seen in the recent past. Last but not least, Amazon teaming up with Fiat Chrysler to sell their cars on Amazon. I can't believe this, but now cars can be purchased through Amazon, starting in Italy for now, for limited models and everything else. I just see this business expanding. I see Amazon getting into everyone's lives in some way, shape, or form. And it's not just an evil corporation necessarily, because that allowed me to get my book out to the public through Amazon, allowing independent publishers to come out. So it has a good side to it. And then, of course, it has the darker side where you have the equipment that they sell, which spies on people in their homes. And, of course, that data is tracked and databased and everything else. So it's a double-edged sword. I just wanted to bring this out to you to show you the change that's happening in not only the Western nations, but all around the world. What we are used to simply shouldn't be what we get used to in the future. A lot of it's changing. Things are definitely changing. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. If you want to look through it, you can always go to Amazon. They have a look inside feature, which will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.